Everyone. Hello, hello, hello. And let's set it up in YouTube as well. Hello, hello, hello. Videos, streaming live. How do you go live? I am live. Am I live? I am live. I still don't memorize how to do this. Um, well, that's why we practice, so that I understand. View in cloud control loops. I'm looking at the YouTube studio on how to go set this up. Set this up. So apparently I'm live. Yes, I am. Hello, I am Ellie. Hello, for the first time who are here. I am an experienced designer from. I'm an experienced design manager from Manila, Philippines, and this is my fourth day of this 100-day video challenge. I kept saying fourth day yesterday. Apparently, it was just my third day. Today is my fourth day. Yesterday I was talking about useful output. Okay, so what are we going to do today? Thank you for coming over, watching the stream. If you just saw the stream, um, like I said, I'm an experienced design manager for here in the Philippines, for one of the biggest conglomerates, and I am a founder of one of the biggest uh, Philippine-based UX design communities. And I'm doing this to document my thoughts every day and to have some sort of useful output and to learn how to do this video streaming and um, video streaming live and practicing. And am I? So have to keep checking because I don't know if I'm recording properly, and I have to go back and forth. So yeah, today is. I have a number of things in my plate today. I have a couple of. So every Saturday is like volunteer work, volunteer day work, and this is when I process my mind. I talk to someone. I talk to another UX designer that I um, bounce off ideas with them, and sometimes I have sessions with user experience Philippines, the community that I volunteer with. Later, actually, we're going to talk about the design conference. But today, I wanted to tell you about um, review of the productivity equation. So remember, our productivity equation from Ali Abdal is useful output over time multiplied by the coefficient called fun. So yes, that is useful output. So in the context is you and me as a knowledge worker, how are we able to create output and make it efficient and be efficient in creating that out while still having fun like this. Um, Yesterday I started talking about this and I talked about being in the flow, getting in the zone with the manga that I was reading about step baby steps. Yeah. And in a way, these are my baby steps. And baby steps of learning how to use regularly take notes regularly because I don't take notes. This is this my habit before I didn't capture before. Okay, so what is useful output? Um, I've been thinking more and more that I should be formatting my whatever I say here in this video challenge into some sort of um, format that sticks to people, that tells a story. So I keep going back to in my mind. I keep going back to Dan Harmon. Um, yes, this one. Harmon's story circle, which is a very nice um, way of. If you're not familiar with Dan Harmon's story circle, it's if you don't know who Dan Harmon is, Harmon is the creator of uh, Rick and Morty. So he's pretty famous. He knows his thing stuff when he's telling stories. Also was the director of Community, that's all. And he follows this, um, yeah, this particular form of the story circle, which he uses as a guide when he's telling stories. So you need to go change. There's a nice video. This is a nice video about it as well. He applies that concept to Rick and Morty. If you don't know Rick and Morty, it's a famous animation. Um, and there's how Rick and Dan Harmon story cycle can help you make your story better. It's a nice um, format. This is based off the. I should save this by the way. I should save this concept in the other thing that I keep doing now is to keep documenting things. Add to my mind. I need to keep documenting things that I see. Otherwise, I would forget about it. And that's part of having a story circle. That's a part of having your second brain. So let's add Dan Harmon's story circle. And circle is, he explained it nicely. You start off in a zone of comfort, but they want something, there's a trigger. They enter an unfamiliar situation, you adapt to it, get what they wanted, pay a heavy price for it, and then return to the familiar situation, having changed. So this is a nice format. This is from Zaco Colbert Blogspot. Wow, Blogspot. Wow, 2015. There's a lot of old article. Um, excuse me. Okay, so when you and the other thing that I also need to start thinking of is, which is based off my studies in mixed methods. I go back to mixed methods. Mixed methods. When you're in design work like me, I am a user experience designer, and you need to convince stakeholders. How do you do it? So one of the things that I'm starting to do is apply the same concept of Dan Harmon's story circle. So tell a story and then show numbers to prove it. Okay. So in simple terms, I think about qualitative and quantitative. Okay, this is what I was talking about by Sam Ladner. It's a nice book that talks about, um, he describes mixed methods, which is actually my Zettel. I have not processed this yet in my Zettelcasting. I'll talk to you about Zettelcasting later. Mixed methods. So I have some highlights that I need to process from my mixed methods. I'll talk to you about Zettelcasting note-taking method. So what happens is, what I do is, I need to process all of these things and put it in a format I can easily search later. That's part of the of being able to do useful output. Anyway, I digress. Go back to our going back to our so tell a story. How do you tell a story? So that's useful output. How do you tell a story? And this is one way of telling a story, Dan Harmon's story circle, and this is based on the monomyth, monomyth, the hero's journey, the monomyth. So the story of the monomyth is that um, there's a Otto Frank discuss hero narrative patterns in terms of Freudian psychoanalysis. And I think there's some research on this. So it's this author Campbell. So Campbell, back in 1949, that's amazing. He started looking at different stories, different myths, different legends, and he started recognizing a pattern, and this is the pattern, the overall pattern, which is also the three-act structure, departure, initiation, return, and many different versions of it. This is a nice screenshot. Maybe I should save this in my. I should save this in. Let's zoom out a bit. Let's save it in my mind. I need to start collecting a lot of these things. So for my future self, that's how you develop your second brain for your future self. Right. So I add this. How do I add this? I add it here. It's nice input. All right. Image. I need to remember these things. There. So the departure, initiation, and then I add this to my mind. So I keep adding things. This is my mind. It's a nice app or service that saves. I often save pictures here, because I can save text here, but I don't save pictures easily in a way that I can easily search. So that's why I like use this. So yesterday I was watching 21 Bridges. Took a snapshot of how in Vietnam only 30% of frontline infantry soldiers ever fired a gun. That's interesting, and I wanted to check if that actually were true. 10 soldiers in battle, only 3 were truly fighting. And what do you think? Imagine the other 7 were doing. So related to a bit of productivity discussion. What is useful output? So useful output for me is making it relevant to those um, who need that output, and for 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 it to be relevant, it's often good to tell a story. Then, because stories based on psychology, based on the monomyth, the hero's journey, people remember stories, but they don't necessarily believe it, and that's what you do with adding numbers, quantitative. People tend to believe numbers when they see shit, and that's the same thought that came up when this was when I was reading mixed methods, and we're looping back into our discussion. Useful output, and then what is input? What is How do you put things into your second brain so you can easily tap it later? It's like your bank. How are you putting things in your bank so that when you withdraw, when you put things in your bank, it's compounding interest. It's building up for you as you collect more info every day. That is this Zettelkasten note-taking method. So Zettelkasten note taking method. And I like Xiaomi's description of Xiaomi Zettelkasten. So Xiaomi how to take smart notes with the Zettelkasten method. Wait for the commercial. Oops, oops, oops. Zettelkasten method.
I explained this method in detail in my previous video, so if you haven't watched it, you should check it out. The process of the custom method is very simple. First, you take a literature note, then you take a reference note and transform them into permanent notes. So let's start from the step 1.
Okay. And you can watch this. You just look for the idea is um, when you see something like this, like what I did, I collect it, and there's a way with it. As you see, I'm starting to collect it in different ways. Normally, I also use a tool called I showed you before, Readwise. So I would highlight something. Like I would highlight the hero's journey. So let's let's highlight this. Study of hero Smith narratives can be traced back to 1871. Okay, let me sign in here. So I now have a flow. I have a flow that I start to do to start to collect. Oops. Start to collect. Mm. So what do I do? I highlight and I add. There's a so I right click on something. You won't see it probably, but I'm right clicking this and I'm adding this to my Readwise. Save highlight to Readwise. And I also sometimes save to use either Instapaper or Pocket. So I save this article to Instapaper or Pocket. And here in Readwise, I sync it, add highlights. So as I'm seeing things, I read it, I have to highlight. So these are the ways to sync it. Once I have synced those information, I have synced, yeah, when I've done syncing, it adds to my Readwise, um, and then I sync it to my Roam, which is my this app here, this Roam, and that's how I capture. So hero's journey, I started to capture, and later it should appear in my daily notes. So if I put it here and click my daily notes, um, it's not synced yet, but later it will sync up. Let me try. Did I sync it already? Sync, refresh. If you need to refresh and run, refresh. Okay, go wrong. Reload. Loading wrong. I connected right now. Yep, I'm connected. Seems like I'm connected. Why is it taking so long? While that's loading, um, come on, Rome. I wonder why it's taking a while. Anyway, while that's loading, I should now see this information when I am doing my research, my studies. Come on. Wonder what's happening to that. Now this is the disadvantage of putting it here. Oh wow. It hasn't synced yet. Maybe. So let's do that again. Highlight. Maybe I should save it to pocket. Pocket. Then sync. Pocket. This is again, I'm troubleshooting a bit. Why to figure out how to probably more efficiently do this. But ideally, if I click on my readwise here, I should see the synced information from yesterday. Should be syncing. Come on, sync. Add highlights. Sync. Just import highlights from. Just synced from Pocket. So it should sync. Then if it syncs, it should sync here. Come on, come on. I haven't perfected this yet. Probably because the service itself is still in beta. Right. Okay, my Pocket highlights have been synced. I got an alert from my. Yeah, there you go. I have highlight from one article. Will it now show here? This is the hero's journey of trying to figure out how to make it more efficient in work, to be more productive. Come on, there you go. Is it there? There you go. See, it's synced. Oh, it's synced. Nice. See, there you go. So should use Pocket to sync. I use Pocket to sync. I sync Pocket, it reflects here. All right, got it. So you see how it works. It's so nice when you get it to work properly. And this is an example of a highlight. Now, if I want to make this into so let me go here. And this is an example of a highlight. And if I use the Zettelkasten method, click here, and I make this into a literature note. So instead of so make literature.
The first step is taking literature notes. They are basically the information.
What? Oh, shucks. Commercials.
Your idea is waiting to be seen. Put it all on display with beautiful
commercials.
Your social media with insight. GoDaddy marketing. Start for free today at GoDaddy.com.
Keep getting commercials on my.
You don't want to forget or think you use data in your writing.
So you make a literature note.
But there are two rules you should follow. One, it should be brief so that it's easy to review later. And two, you have to write it in your own words. This means no quoting. Copy and pasting is easy. Really understand what you want to get in Rome. So if you're reading in Rome, go to your Kindle website and copy your.
So we already started our literature notes.
Where you got your idea from, simply use block reference using auto drag. This have to be in your own. What to do is make a reference note. Creating a permanent note is the most important. All you have to do is remember where you got your idea.
So step 2.
Again, I have to. This way, you can all have to remind you these notes, no copy and pasting. Very simple step. All you have to do is make a reference note at the top of your page when you finish reading a book or article. It's just the author and a brief note about the content.
Okay. So literature notes. So let me sync this. I'll take some notes. How do I need to add to make literature notes. So, for example, of my literature note is this one. Literature notes. So this is an example of my literature note. So from this one, I'll make a literature note. Normally, I just tag um, hero's journey, literature notes. So this should be in my own words. Do that. Click here. I start typing in my own words. And the highlight is this one. And I normally, what I do is I form it into a question. When, for instance, when did the study of hero myth narratives start? So I'll ask that. And you put it in your own words. It started. It can be traced back. To 1871 with anthropologist. There's a reason why you have to do it this way, so you remember. Anthropologist, Edward Burnett Tyler. And here, because I'm using Rome, I sometimes tag someone like this, so I remember to take a look at that name later on. So Tyler, in his observations of common patterns, on patterns of heroes' journeys. Journeys. God, I need the keyboard. Keyboard keeps double pressing N. Annoying. And then you can, since this came from this, I can make it a block reference. A block reference is something cool in that you can do in Rome, that it's linked. So if I make an edit here, it jumps here, and I can click on this when I look at this, and I think one of the learnings, for instance, one of the things I can do now is, so there's a block there, block narrative. I go back here. So what's the third step? Third step is to, after you create some notes, you make your personal notes.
Thinking. Your goal is not collecting these to your existing notes. Now, finding keywords and relevant notes is the most.
So the third step is to make
the notes can meet that new values to your existing. Try to find the connections between each note to build mental models. In a book or article, it's just the author and a brief note about the content. Creating a permanent note is the most important step in the Zettelkasten method. They are the notes that become part of your mental models. Simply go through each note you made in the previous step.
So, for instance, I looked at this note that I made in this previous step. I can add another note, for instance. Use the hero's journey. Model. Because it works. when telling stories. When telling stories. So use the hero's journey when telling stories. Now, so I have my highlight, literature notes, hero's journey, and I can probably incorporate um, I usually incorporate the Dan Harmon's discussions on the heroes, Dan Harmon's stories here later on here. So use the hero's journey when telling stories. When telling stories. So that's one of the key takeaways. When did I think no, I put it here. So these I have two notes, two literature notes, and this becomes part of my mental model, meaning it's something I should always remember, that I can use in my future self. So I added a Z to remind it's a Zettelkasten. It's a personal note. That's the third step, right? Make it into a personal note. They tag it. Make this into my personal note. So, and what's the third part when you make it into your personal note? There's also a format. I think I already have a format. See. So I have to reference it where I got this idea. So my reference is Wikipedia. I think I better use the hero's journey Wikipedia. I should reference this here, and I should reference Edward. So I know that that's one of that's how it started before. Source. So keywords that I can use now. It should be here. What am I doing? Oh, speaking of, before I forget that, did I copy that in the Japanese lessons? Yep. Okay. Going back to my so I have to add my keywords to help me remember heroes journey. The keyword, so another keyword would be telling stories. What are keywords? Okay, it's Xiaomi also has a nice description of when it should be keywords that you will. So when you're creating content for yourself, building your second brain, your personal knowledge management system, you have to create things that you want your future self to easily find or bump into. And the analogy is, all the information that you have is like a big forest. If it's a big forest, it's hard to find something, right? So, um, if you're looking for like a certain tree in a big forest or a certain path around the forest, it's so hard unless you know the forest in and out. Somebody coming in first time to your mind, the forest of your mind, is going to be tough. Sometimes even you yourself would find it tough to do that. But when you design for your future self, your personal knowledge management system, your brain, you are thinking of your landscaping, you're adding landmarks, you're making a path. So this is the equivalent of landscaping and making a path. Right. So my notes here is remember to always tell stories to use the hero's journey as a model. You can use apply. So relevant note actually is Dan Harmon's story circle. So maybe I wanna tag here designing for my future self story circle. No, I already have it tagged. This way, this is an example of designing for your future self. Now, when I start writing something in the future, I can just, for instance, I'll make something, I'll make an article. For instance, I'll try to, I'll think about this, and I want to talk about my, for instance, tomorrow. Let's set for tomorrow. Day 5. Tomorrow. Say I want to talk about a hero myth. I can just type in hero myth. Hero. So, and if it's a block, it remember to tell stories. Even better if I use my Zettel casting. Maybe I use my Zettels. If I use my Zettel. So if I use my Z, use the element telling stories. So, and then that is all linked. If I click here, it goes me to this one. And then I remember to tell stories. That's what's great about using Rome. Right. Going back to our today's discussion. Going back to today's discussion. So that forecasting note taking method, maybe just to end it up, I like this article by Andy Matushak about his way of taking notes, evergreen notes. It's just similar to the Zettelkasten, but he has so these are very nice concepts that I should always try to apply as well. Serendipity is a virtue. See, I love this. Notes should surprise you. The centrality of one's ideas over time. So putting it in my second brain, having collecting that personal knowledge management system. But he has some differences. Well, I'll revisit this in a future episode. Differences. So in a future episode, let's talk about Andimato Shack. Let's go more into Andimato Shack. Start dumping my ideas there. All right. Great. It's a long episode with 40 minutes. I just wanted to end today's session. I try to always study something. So let's end today's session by doing quickly some Japanese, my Japanese lessons. I have Japanese lessons that I'm subscribed to. Flashcards I need to keep studying every day, even this, and it's related to the concept of atomic design, which is something I talked about in my second day, I think, or is related to the Seinfeld discussion, which I talked about the other day about forming don't break the chain. So I'm trying to not break the chain of this habit of really studying even just a few Japanese words a day. So let's have our flashcards for today. Let's end it here. with my flashcards. Okay, I have 8 cards. Come on, I should have this perfect. 8 cards. Let's start. Manaita.
まな板
Yes.
出る
Deru is leave. To leave. To leave, right?
出
Leave.
る
Yes. Yeah. Kami. Kami is. Oh, I remember. This is a turtle. Kami-sama. I remember Dragon Ball is here. Kami-sama.
亀
See, turtle. Yeah. Annoying. Urusai. Urusai?
うるさい
Kiru. Oh no, what's kiru? Kiru is to wear. It's a verb to wear.
着る
Yes.
日本の料理は好きですか
Nihon no ryori wa suki desu ka? Okay. Nihon, Japanese. Ryori is food. Nihon no ryori, Japanese food. Nihon no ryori wa suki desu ka? Suki is like. Des is like. Ka is a question mark. So, Nihon no ryori wa suki desu ka? Do you like Japanese food?
日本の料理は好きですか
Yeah.
つける
Tsukeru is to turn on something like a light or
つ
TV.
ける
Yes. Subway is an ekitetsu. Ekitetsu?
地下鉄
Chikatetsu. Damn it. I missed it. Chikatetsu. Yeah. 8 lessons. So I think I'm actually, as you can see, I'm 98% with my 500 core word list. I think I need to add a new deck. And the new deck should be probably the 2000 core word list already. So maybe I'll go with my, start doing this. For 2000. For 2000. Everything else. Can I put everything? Yeah, import. Can I put, what does this mean? Oh, they changed something. And let's use everyday words. Everyday words. Everyday words. Everyday words. I have a new set of lessons to learn. Yeah, slow down. Okay. Ah, so many new words. Stats. Learn. Okay, master. Nice. I like looking at stats. Alright, so that's our lesson for today. Our discussion for today. Listen, I feel like a teacher. Our discussions for today. I've been productive. I have done this, created my literature note, did a literature and personal note on the hero's journey. Finished my daily vlog video stream challenge. Great morning, and it's only 8:30. See you soon tomorrow for my tomorrow's video streaming. Uh, when I say see you soon, I'm usually just talking about to myself, right? No one's really watching this. So, all right, good. I end my stream. Thank you very much. Goodbye.